Kakadosh, Boker Or. I wanted to share with you a beautiful idea on this week's parasha. There's always the different connections between Parashat Nitzavim and Rosh Hashanah, because usually it's always before Rosh Hashanah, in order to make a pasek between Kitavo, which is the Klalot, and Rosh Hashanah. We did want Kitavo to be before Rosh Hashanah, the Gemara says, because if you remember, we spoke last week, because we wanted Tichle Shana v'Kilulotea, but we still wanted that there should be, so there's Nitzavim. So Nitzavim comes right before Rosh Hashanah, and it says over there, Ki karov elecha hadavar me'od. It is so close to you, this thing. Beficha v'ilvavecha la'asoto. It's in your mouth and in your heart to do it. Now, from here, there are Rishonim, the Ben Yonah, the Rambam, that they learn it's a mitzvah taseh doraita of Teshuva. They learn from Parashat Nitzavim. Okay, when it says "Beficha" with your mouth, vidui, right? Bilvavecha. When we're talking about your heart, what are we talking about? The charata. Person has to have charata. So therefore, okay, this is what a person has. Now, we have a few questions that we want to ask. Why do we need 40 days to do Teshuva? Another question, very interesting. Ashkenazim have a minhag to blow shofar the 30 days of Elul. It comes Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, they stop. We also stop because basically tomorrow is Shabbat. There's no blowing shofar. Erev Rosh Hashanah, there's no blowing shofar until Rosh Hashanah itself. But we continue again on, from Som Gedalia onwards until Kippur, even though there's differences of opinions on Erev Kippur as well. However, though, Ashkenazim, they stop. They do it. They stop Erev Rosh Hashanah. They do it on Rosh Hashanah, and then that's it. They don't do it until Kippur again. So the question is, why? What's going on? According to Ashkenazim, this minhag. So the Ramban says that we're talking about Teshuvah, and he comes and he says that Teshuvah is something easy. How do you know it's easy? Ki karov elecha davar me'od. It's so close to you to do it. You just have to do it. So it's very easy. But now, so why is it that we have 40 days? No. We know that we have the 40 days of what we're going to call it Elul, and Aseret Yemei Teshuvah is 40 days, that we are able to come and to grow. You understand? So basically what happens is we have to understand what's going on. So he comes and he says, right, as follows. We know that the 40 days, it comes from Ani ledodi, vedodi li. I am to my beloved, and my beloved is to me. That's the end letters of Ani ledodi, vedodi li is Yod, 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 Yod. Ani, there's a Yod at the end. Ledodi, Yod at the end. Vedodi, Yod at the end. Li, the Yod at the end. Yod, 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 10, 10, 10, 10. That's 40. So that is 40 times the 10. It's 40 days of Teshuvah. And that's all of the month of Elul. And Aseret Yemei Teshuvah until Kippur. So some people ask, 1 second, why do you need 40 days? It's enough one day. How do you know it's enough one day to do Teshuvah? See, and it's so easy. It says, Gemara Masechet Shabbat. The Gemara Masechet Shabbat Kuf Nun Gimel Amud Aleph says, Yashuv Yom Shema Yamut Machar. Do Teshuvah. When? Today. Why? Maybe tomorrow you're going to die. What does that mean? You're seeing from here, and there's also Pirkei Avot. We say, Shuv Yom Echad Nifnei Mitatecha, right? The person should always do Teshuvah one day before his death because he doesn't know when he's going to die. But the concept is, 1 second, how do you do Teshuvah one day? But that's a proof that what? That you could do Teshuvah one day. And the famous story of Rabbi Elazar ben Durdia. Remember Rabbi Elazar ben Durdia, Mesechet Avodah Zarah of Yud Zayin, there, if you remember, it said that he did all the Avirot in the world. And finally, in one day, he went and he made the turnaround. And he was crying and asking from the Shamayim and from the Aretz and from the Harim and the Gevot. And he was asking from everybody to help him do Teshuvah until he understood that it had to do with him. So he was just crying and crying and crying until he passed away. And when he passed away, it said that Rabbi Elazar ben Durdia was one of Olam Haba. So what does that mean? You see that a person in one day, he could get Olam Haba. He could do Teshuvah. The Midrash Rabbah and Shira Shirim also says the same thing. There it says on the pasuk, Iti min Lebanon kala. It says Yeshayam, a Navi says, He na'ari me'afar kumi shevi Yerushalayim. Be'ota sha'a, right? He says, Haskol basal ipnei Hashem. Lama ki me'or min kodsho. What does that mean? It's just like a tarnegolet. What does it mean, a tarnegolet? The Chavetz Chaim says, very interesting, and he says like this. A tarnegolet, right? A rooster, a chicken, it starts playing in the dirt. When it gets up, it's got tons of dirt all over its wings and everything. It says if you would have to come and you would have to take out the dirt, you would have to come and take out piece by piece. It would take you months. You know what it is to get rid of the dirt in every single one, in mamash, between the feathers and everything. Very difficult. It's a tedious work. He says, but what does the Tanagola does? He says the Tanagola, what it does is it gets up and it shakes itself so strong that it cleans itself out from everything. And everything comes off. So comes the Shira Shirim and it says, that's the explanation. You guys have to clean yourselves from the dirt. Shavi Yerushalayim, the ones that the captives of Yerushalayim, then they said, before Hashem, they're going to do it. Why? You're going to shake themselves off from Hashem, just like the Tanagola that's going to shake itself off from the dirt. So he says, if we would have to do real tshuva, it would take us months. But all of a sudden we come and we give a big shake. And that big shake takes out all the dirt that a person has. So the question is, okay, fine. So if you could actually do it in one day, so then why do you need 40 days? Why do we have 40 days? All of Elul, Setim Tshuva. What's going on? Right? It's a beautiful question at the end of the day. But you understand? So answers like this. And he says something incredible. Why does a person sin? The Gemara Masechet Sota Gimel Amud Aleph says, "En adam choteh." A person will only sin, if there's nonsense that went into their head. What does that mean? Because we're lacking da'at, we're lacking knowledge. So we know that the Chidushei Harim actually says something beautiful. He says, why is it that we do Sukkot in Tishri? If we say that the Sukkot was to remember the Ananei Kavod, the clouds of glory that surrounded Bnei Israel and right when we left Egypt, we should have done it in the summertime. Right? Why are we doing it now in this time? So he answers, because it says in the pasuk, you have to know. Because on Sukkot that I took you out of Mitzrayim, what does that mean you have to know? Sukkot needs da'at. In order for you to have da'at, you needed Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, because after Kippur we have da'at. When a person finishes Kippur, hopefully, right, all of a sudden things are different. It's true. It only takes a few days and whatever it is, and all of a sudden people get back to their common, routine. But usually it's a shake. It's a wake-up call. People all of a sudden, they come after Kippur, imagine somebody's going to come to you, Motzei Kippur, tell you to do an Avirah. It was just Kippur, you can't do that. Come back in a week, yeah, he'll do it. But it's too close. When a person has Kippur, they get their da'at back. And that's why we do Sukkot immediately after Kippur, because it says, Leman Yede'u, you have to know about the Sukkot. So if it happens then, that's what the Chidushei Harim says. So you see from here that the way to fix up the sin is by having da'at. What is da'at? That your brain controls your entire body. Because many of us, what controls the body is the heart. And it's not the brain. It's the heart. So now we're going to explain the following. We know that where do we do the bracha of Havdalah? Nechonena da'at, correct? In the bracha of Ata chonen l'adam da'at, we do Havdalah. The Gemara says why? Because if you don't have da'at, how are you going to make Havdalah? If you don't have da'at, if you don't know the distinction between one thing and another, so how are you going to come and do Havdalah? Right? You need to do Havdalah. Havdalah is to distinguish between one thing and another, between Shabbat, which is Kodesh, and Chol, mundane. You have to know. Now, if you look in the Psukim, right? Or for example, if you look also in the brachot of the Havdalah, something doesn't make sense. You start with a Priya Geffen, afterwards you do B'samim, afterwards you go to Me'oresh, and afterwards you do Kodesh L'chol. Now, technically speaking, you're doing Birkat HaNe'anim before Birkat HaShlach, which doesn't make sense. There's a few things. What's going on exactly? Why is that the order? HaGeffen, B'samim, Ner, Havdalah. Why is that the order? So there's a beautiful Tashbetz. Listen to this Tashbetz, Magen Avot. He says the reason why they made it in that order is because it's according to your senses. The senses from the least to the most. What does that mean? If you want to understand something, you have the senses that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you in order to understand. So what's the first sense? The taste. Why is it the taste? Because when you taste something, you're able to distinguish whether it's sweet, whether it's spicy, bitter, whether it's going to be salty, right? All these things. But do you realize that in order for you to know that, it has to be very, very close to you. It has to be mamash inside your mouth, basically. Okay? So he says, when it's mamash in your mouth and you're tasting it, by your buds, the taste buds, now you're able to taste it. Chazak Baruch. What's the next one? Bisamim. Smell, you could even smell from far, which means if you want to know if something's rotten or off, what do? You come and you taste it. But technically, you don't need to taste it. Sometimes you smell it and it's already enough. Smell is a little bit further away, right? You don't need to do that. You don't need to be up close like that. What's the next one? Seeing it, right? The eyes, which are seeing. So he comes and he says, seeing is much stronger. Why? For you to taste something, it has to be mamash in your mouth, right? If for you to come and to smell it, it has to be close, right? But to see if something, you could see it much further away. You could see from far. You don't have to smell it. This is not good. It's all rotten. You could see it. You don't have to touch it to see it, to feel that it's all soft. You have that. What's the last one? Right? The last one is, which is even more, that understanding. Sometimes you don't even have to see, but if you understand, you don't need to see it. That's the highest one out of all of them. Now, do you realize, not only is it that we just explained that there's 4 levels, right? Because what did we just say? We said there's taste, right? There's taste, smell, seeing, right? And there's the last one, which is da'at, understanding. Okay, now he says each one was a different level in the proximity, the closeness that you need. But it's actually also in the human body. Why? Because do you realize, where's the taste? On the bottom of the head. There's the mouth. There's where the taste. Where's the smell? 1 step higher. Where's the seeing? 1 step higher. The eyes. Where's the understanding, the knowledge? In the brain. So therefore, you actually see that all these senses are actually there, right? In the way that it is in your body, that's the way that they are, the senses to understand and how to feel, and the closer that they are to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So now, according to this, now we can actually understand, right? What is the bracha achashuva biyoter? When we come and we do the Havdalah, the highest level of the bracha is Amav Divin Kodesh Shechol. So you first start Borei Priya Gefen, because that's the taste. You continue with Borei Minim Samim, because that's the smell. Then you continue with Borei Minim Esh, that's what you're seeing. And then you continue with what? With Amav Divin Kodesh Shechol, because that's in your brain. That's the highest one. So therefore you come and you see that this is the highest one of the Chushim. How do you know that also? You see this from a baby. A baby, the first thing that they're able to get is taste. Meaning a baby could taste, doesn't like this milk, does like that milk. Taste is his first thing. The second thing people think is when they start seeing. Because a baby doesn't see when they're born, right? They start seeing a little bit later. And then all of a sudden, when they start seeing things, they start smiling, or they start there, because that's only afterwards. But at the beginning, what comes before the seeing? The smell. So even in a baby, you have, first comes the taste, then the smell, and then it comes the eyes that they're able to see, and last is the da'at that comes later on. It doesn't come at the beginning because they don't have that da'at. So that's also every single one of the steps. So now the Sfarim HaKadoshim come and they bring down, now we understand exactly what's going on. Why? They say as follows. They say, Aseret Yemei Teshuvah is parallel to the 10 Sefirot. We know that there's 10 different worlds, right? That's Esser Sefirot. And that's why we have a Aseret Yemei Teshuvah to fix everything which is defected in them. Or some people want to say that no, Aseret Yemei Teshuvah is parallel to Aseret Dibrot, the 10 commandments, or Asara Ma'amorot, right? The 10 sayings that the world was created. Because when we come and we sin, we have to fix every single one of the creation. We destroy the creation of the world. So we have to fix it. So every single day to fix, whether it's one of the Aseret Dibrot, one of the 10, right, which is the 10 commandments, one of the Asara Ma'amorot, the ways that the world was created. Okay, fine. Now he says, 1 second. Now we understand why the 40 days is not 40 days. It's actually separate. It's actually 4 times 10, meaning it's 4 groups of 10. So now he comes and he says, now we understand why you have the 4 groups of 10. If the ikar of the chet is because the person didn't have da'at, so just like we said before, that a person, when he does a sin, they're not thinking properly, there's a shtut, there's a nonsense that goes into the brain. So therefore, the way to do teshuvah is to fix each one of those. You need 10 days because of that sefirot. You need to fix each one. So each one of the 4 you need to fix. You had the mouth, which is everything that comes into your mouth, taste. You have to fix that. How do you fix it? 10 days for that one. The next one was number 2. What was that? Smell. You have to fix it. 10 days, you have to fix it. The third one, what is the third one? 10 days to fix what? The seeing. Well, you see, 10 days to fix it. The last one, which is the dot, also needs 10 days. But that's already the dot. So now he comes and he says, now we understand what happens. The first 3 are physical or things which actually are gashmim. They're lower than the brain, right? Whether it's going to be the chush of the tam, the sense of taste, smell, and seeing, all 3 of them are in Elul. Why? Because we have to fix all 3 things which are in Elul. All of a sudden, it comes a Aseret Yemei Teshuvah. And the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, you already have da'at. Since it's a Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, which is the last 10, you already have it. Right? Why? Because that's the highest level. Now it's a completely different level. It's not the same as the first 3. Right? Why? Because now it's mamash, already in the brain. So according to that, now we understand why the Ashkenazim, they do it only until Rosh Hashanah and not afterwards. Because the first 3, which were physical, right, which is the taste, smell, and the eyes, the eyesight, right, whatever you see, he says there, you need the shofar to awaken you, to do the teshuvah. And therefore we come and we start waking ourselves up with what? With a shofar. But a Aseret Yemei Teshuvah that we're already up here in the moach, that's already much higher level. There you don't need the shofar anymore, according to Ashkenazim. And now we actually understand what it is in order for a person to come and to do, which means something incredible. We have, just like the Avdalah, we have to come and we have to do teshuvah for everything. Whether it's the first 10 days of Elul, we come and we do teshuvah for everything that we ate that might have been not properly. Whether it's going to be chadash, whether it's going to be bugs, whether it's going to be non-kosher, whether it's going to be not patisel, not chalavisel, not this, not that. A whole bunch of different things. Second one is everything with the smell. Whether it's going to be that we smell things which we weren't supposed to smell, whether it's perfumes or this, or other things, or all these types of things, that smell. The last 10 days is going to be of what we see. What do we see? We saw things which are improper. The last 10 is going to be the actual concept of the brain. And again, these things are one by one, whether it's in where it is in the human being, in the head of the human being, what a baby comes and how it grows up, that it first starts, whether it's going to be with taste, smell, eyesight, and then last it's going to have that. And then what it's going to be also the way that we do teshuvah is the same form, right? Also as well. So this is just a way in order for us to know, ki karov elecha davar, look how close it is to do teshuvah. Why do we have 40 days of do teshuvah? You're right. A person could do teshuvah one day, but here we have to fix up everything that we did. We need 40 days to fix it up. We need 4 times 10. It's not one thing, one entity of 40 days. It's 4 times 10 different entities, 10 different things, which that's what we have to actually come and do teshuvah b'ezrat Hashem.